Chapter 1. The Money Lie You've Been Told Your Whole Life. Did you know that 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? And that number includes people earning over $100,000 a year? Stick around, because by the end of this chapter, you're going to know exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how to make sure it never happens to you again. Let me ask you something, and I want you to actually answer this out loud if you can. What did your parents teach you about money? Take a second. Think about it. Because here's what most people say. Save your pennies. Money doesn't grow on trees. Don't talk about money, it's rude. And here's the thing. Those phrases feel harmless, but they quietly wired your brain to see money as something scary, complicated, or even shameful. And that invisible wiring, it's been running your financial life ever since. That's the lie. Not a dramatic one. Not one person sitting you down and saying, "Hey kid, you'll never be wealthy." It's subtler than that. It's the silence around money, the arguments you overheard as a child, the way your family changed the subject whenever someone brought up debt or savings. That silence shaped you, and today we're breaking it. Now, I want to tell you about a guy I'll call Marcus. Marcus was 34, a marketing manager, pulling in $72,000 a year. On paper, he looked fine. Nice car, decent apartment, good clothes. But Marcus had a secret. He had $147 in his savings account and $23,000 in credit card debt. Every month felt like a race he could never win. And the worst part? Marcus wasn't reckless. He wasn't buying luxury watches or flying business class. He was just living, and slowly, quietly sinking. Pause right here. Think about Marcus for a second. Does any part of that feel familiar? You don't have to say it out loud, but just notice. Because here's what we found when Marcus finally sat down and looked at his actual numbers. He was spending $340 a month on food delivery, $220 on subscriptions he'd completely forgotten about, and $180 in bank fees he didn't even know existed. That's $740 a month. In a year? Nearly $9,000. Not because Marcus was irresponsible, but because Marcus had never looked. And that is the real money lie most people are living inside. The lie isn't that you don't earn enough. The lie is that you think the problem is income, when really, the problem is awareness. Here's an analogy I want you to hold on to. Your finances are like a bathtub. Income is the faucet. Spending is the drain. Now most people, when they feel broke, immediately try to turn up the faucet. Side hustle. Second job. Bigger salary. But if your drain is wide open, it doesn't matter how fast the water comes in. The tub stays empty. Plugging small leaks can be more powerful than doubling your income. Read that again if you need to. Now, quick check before we go further. Without looking at your phone right now, do you know your checking account balance? Your total debt? Your monthly subscriptions? If you hesitated on any of those, that's not a judgment. That's your starting point. And starting points are just that. Starting points. Here's what separates people who build wealth from people who wonder where their money went. It's not a higher salary. It's not a lucky investment. It's this. They pay attention. Every dollar has a name. Every month has a plan. And every financial decision is made intentionally, not reactively. The wealthy don't see money as a mystery to avoid. They see it as a system to understand. And systems can be learned by anyone, including you. Marcus, by the way, is doing just fine now. Once he saw those numbers clearly, he canceled the subscriptions he didn't use, switched banks, cut his delivery habit down to twice a month, and redirected $600 a month into savings and debt repayment. Within 14 months, he had his first $5,000 emergency fund, and had paid off his smallest credit card completely. Same income. Completely different outcome. The only thing that changed was awareness. So here's your very first action step from this series. Tonight, before you go to sleep, open every account you have. Your bank, your credit cards, your subscriptions. Don't judge a single number. Just look. Just know. Because you cannot fix what you refuse to face. And if this is already making you think differently about money, hit like right now. It tells me you're serious, and it helps more people find this series who need it just as much as you do. In Chapter 2, we're going to take that awareness and turn it into a system. We're building a budget, but not the kind that makes you miserable. A budget that actually gives you freedom. And I'm going to show you exactly how a teacher earning $3,800 a month went from zero savings to a fully funded retirement account in under 2 years. Don't skip it. Chapter 2, the budget that sets you free. What if I told you that the word budget has been lying to you your entire adult life? Most people hear budget and immediately think restriction. No fun. No spontaneity. Just a cold spreadsheet judging every latte you've ever bought. And that association is exactly why 65% of Americans don't follow one, and why most people who try quit within 3 weeks. But here's the truth that changes everything. A budget isn't a cage. It's a map. And nobody hates having a map when they're lost. Comment 1 below if you've ever started a budget and abandoned it. Comment 2 if you've never tried one at all. I read every single comment, and I promise you're not alone either way. Let me introduce you to the Freedom Budget. And yes, I know that sounds like a contradiction, but stay with me for just a minute. The Freedom Budget runs on one principle. Every dollar gets a job. Not a restriction, a job. When you give each dollar a specific role before the month starts, you stop asking, where did my money go? And you start saying, I know exactly where my money went, because I decided. That shift, from reactive to intentional, is one of the most powerful financial moves you will ever make. Now let me tell you about Sophia. Sophia was a 29-year-old teacher, $3,800 take-home pay per month. She was kind, hardworking, smart, and completely broke. Not broke like eviction notices. Broke like $200 left before payday, every single month. For 4 years straight. When we built Sophia's financial picture together, here's what we found. Her needs, rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, were eating 67% of her income. Her wants, going out, streaming, shopping, were taking another 24%. That left exactly 9% for savings. And most months, even that disappeared into something unplanned. Sophia's first instinct? Cut everything fun. Cancel Netflix, stop all dining out, pack lunch every day. She was determined. She lasted 19 days. Then ordered $60 of delivery food on a Tuesday night, out of sheer exhaustion and resentment toward her own budget. Sound familiar? This is why punishment budgets fail. They ignore the human element entirely. Willpower is not a financial strategy. You cannot white-knuckle your way to wealth. You need a system that works with your humanity, not against it. So instead of cutting everything, we did something different with Sophia. We identified 2 things. Her joy anchors and her comfort numbing. Joy anchors are the spending categories that genuinely, meaningfully add to your quality of life. For Sophia, that was her monthly dinner with her best friend, and her gym membership she actually used 4 times a week. Those stayed. Non-negotiable. Comfort numbing is spending that doesn't bring real joy. It just fills a gap. Boredom. Stress. Scrolling and clicking at 11 p.m. For Sophia, that was $180 a month in impulse online purchases, most of which she barely remembered buying 2 weeks later. When Sophia protected her joy anchors and eliminated her comfort numbing, she redirected $310 per month. And here's the thing that surprised her most. She felt more satisfied, not less. Within 12 months, she had her first $3,000 emergency fund. Within 24 months, she opened a Roth IRA. Same teacher salary, completely transformed financial life. The only thing that changed was the design of her budget. Pause right here. What are your joy anchors? The spending that genuinely makes your life better? And where is your comfort numbing hiding? Take 30 seconds. Be honest with yourself. Now let me give you the 4-step freedom budget framework. Step 1. Track every single expense for 30 days. Every coffee, every parking meter, every random Amazon click. Don't judge a single transaction. Just document. This is your financial X-ray. You cannot treat what you haven't diagnosed. Step 2. Sort everything into 3 buckets. Needs, wants, and waste. Needs keep you alive and employed. Rent, food, transportation. Wants genuinely improve your life, your joy anchors. Waste is everything else. Forgotten subscriptions, impulse buys collecting dust, fees you forgot to cancel. Step 3. Assign intentional dollar amounts to each category. But here's the critical part that most budgeting advice gets backwards. Start with savings, not what's left over at the end. Savings first. Always. This is called paying yourself first. And it is the single most powerful budgeting habit that exists. Step 4. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer to savings the same day your paycheck hits. What never appears in your checking account, you will never spend. Remove the decision entirely, because decisions are where willpower goes to die. Now, 2 budget killers I want you to watch for. The first is irregular expenses. Car repairs, medical bills, annual subscriptions. These things blindside people, blow up their budget, and feel like emergencies. But they're not really emergencies, are they? You knew your car would eventually need new tires. You just didn't plan for it. The fix is a sinking fund, a dedicated savings pocket, where you deposit a small amount every month, specifically for these predictable but irregular costs. If you typically spend $1,200 a year on car maintenance, that's $100 a month into a car fund. No surprises, no panic, just math. The second budget killer is lifestyle inflation. Every time income goes up, spending tends to rise right alongside it. New raise, nicer apartment, bonus, new car payment. And suddenly, the extra money vanishes without a single dollar going toward your future. The antidote is simple. Every time you get a raise, automate at least half of it directly into savings before you ever see it in your account. You lived without it before. Your future self will thank you for it. Here's your action step for this chapter. Build your first freedom budget this week. Even rough numbers. Track your joy anchors. Find your comfort numbing. Set up one automatic savings transfer, even if it's $50. Start where you are, not where you wish you were. And in Chapter 3, we go after the thing that keeps more people up at night than almost anything else. Debt. Specifically, I'm going to show you how someone paid off $38,000 on an average salary in just under 3 years, using a method that almost nobody talks about correctly. You won't want to miss it. If this chapter gave you something to work with, share it with one person in your life who you know needs a better relationship with their budget. Your share might change their entire financial trajectory. Chapter 3, The Debt Escape, a plan that actually works. What if I told you that debt doesn't have to take 30 years to pay off? What if I told you that the way most people approach debt repayment is actually designed to keep them in debt longer? Here's the number that should make your stomach drop. The average American carries nearly $8,000 in credit card debt, at an average interest rate above 20%. If you make only the minimum payments on that balance, it will take over 30 years to clear, and cost you nearly 3 times the original amount. 30 years. Triple the price. For a debt you could eliminate in under 3 years, with the right strategy. That is not a coincidence. That is how the system was designed. And today, we're going to break out of it. But before we get tactical, I want to say something that most finance content skips completely. Debt is heavy, not just financially, emotionally. Research shows that people carrying significant debt are 3 times more likely to experience serious mental health struggles. The anxiety, the shame, The fog that settles over every financial decision. It's real. And it's not a character flaw. It's a consequence. So the first step in any real debt elimination plan is not a spreadsheet. It's permission. Permission to look at the full number without punishing yourself for how it got there. You are not your debt. Your debt is a problem to be solved. And problems have solutions. Let me tell you about Jordan. Jordan was 41, a project manager with $38,000 spread across 5 different debts. A $900 credit card at 24% interest. A $4,200 credit card at 21%. A $12,000 personal loan at 14%. A $2,800 medical bill at 0%. And an $18,000 car payment at 6%. Jordan had been making minimum payments for 4 years. The balances barely moved. Every month felt like running on a treadmill that only got faster. Pause here. If you're carrying debt right now, I want you to do one thing before this chapter ends. Write down, or just mentally note, every debt you have. The balance, the interest rate, the minimum payment. Don't panic at the number. Just name it. Because named problems are solvable problems. Now, there are 2 main debt elimination strategies. Both proven, both effective. The difference between them is almost entirely psychological. The first is the debt avalanche. You list all your debts, ranked by interest rate from highest to lowest. Every extra dollar goes to the highest rate debt first, while you make minimums on everything else. Once that's eliminated, you move to the next. This method saves the most money in interest. Mathematically, it is the optimal approach. The second is the debt snowball. You ignore interest rates entirely and list your debts from smallest balance to largest. You attack the smallest one first. When it's gone, you roll that payment into the next debt, building momentum like a snowball rolling downhill. This method costs slightly more in interest, but it delivers faster psychological wins that keep most people motivated long enough to finish. Quick check. Are you driven by logic and numbers? Avalanche. Do you need visible progress and quick wins to stay in the game? Snowball. The best method is not the one that saves the most money on paper. It's the one you'll actually stick to, because a perfect strategy you abandon beats nothing. And an imperfect strategy you commit to changes everything. Jordan chose the snowball. And with a restructured budget, plus a small weekend photography side income, Jordan freed up an extra $400 a month. 11 months later, the $900 credit card was gone. The energy shift was immediate, real, visceral. Then the medical bill. Then the second credit card. 3 debts, eliminated in under 2 years. By year 3, Jordan had paid off $21,000 of the original $38,000 and felt financially alive for the first time in a decade. Now let me give you 4 power moves that can dramatically accelerate your timeline. Power move 1. The balance transfer. If you have a decent credit score, you may qualify for a 0% interest balance transfer card. Many offer 12 to 21 months of no interest. Transfer your highest rate balance there. Every single payment goes straight to principal. 0 going to interest. Warning. This only works if you completely stop using the original card. Cut it. Freeze it. Lock it in a drawer. The temptation to use available credit will undo the entire strategy. Power move 2. Negotiate your interest rate. This sounds intimidating. It takes about 4 minutes. You call your credit card company. You say you've been a loyal customer, you're actively working to pay down your balance, and you'd like to discuss a lower rate. Studies show over 60% of people who ask receive a reduction. 60%. The worst they can say is no. You lose nothing by asking. You potentially save thousands by doing it. Power move 3. The windfall rule. Anytime unexpected money arrives, a tax refund, a work bonus, a freelance payment, a birthday gift, send 50% directly to your top priority debt. Immediately. Before it touches your checking account if possible. The other 50% can go to savings or a small deliberate reward. This rule turns every financial windfall into rocket fuel for your debt payoff, instead of evaporating into impulse spending like most windfalls do. Power move 4. Stop the bleeding. This sounds obvious, but it must be said. While you are paying down debt, You cannot simultaneously accumulate new debt. These two things cancel each other out completely. If credit cards are a temptation, put them in a glass of water and literally freeze them. By the time the ice melts, the impulse to swipe has usually passed. It sounds silly. It works. Here's the truth I want you to carry out of this chapter. Debt is not a life sentence. It feels permanent, but it is not. With a clear plan, consistent execution, and even one or two of those power moves, significant debt can be eliminated in 3 to 5 years. The version of your life waiting on the other side, where every dollar you earn is actually yours, is worth every sacrifice the journey requires. Your action step for this chapter. List every debt you have tonight. Balance, interest rate, minimum payment. Choose your method. Avalanche or snowball. And identify one power move you can implement this week. Just one. Start there. In Chapter 4, we flip the entire script. We stop playing defense. And we start building. I'm going to show you exactly how an ordinary person, with an ordinary income, builds extraordinary wealth, using tools that are completely accessible to you right now, even if you're starting from zero. Share this chapter with someone carrying debt who feels like there's no way out, because there is a way out. And sometimes, all it takes is one person sending them the map. Chapter 4, The Wealth Machine. Make your money work harder than you do. Here's a question I want you to answer right now. Honestly, if you stopped working tomorrow, how long could you survive on what you currently have saved? 1 month? 3 months? A week? Most people, when they actually run that number, feel a cold wave of discomfort. And that discomfort is one of the most useful feelings in personal finance, because it means you're paying attention. Today, we're going to fix that number, not by working harder, but by building something that works for you, even while you sleep, even while you're on vacation, even when the economy feels uncertain. We're talking about investing, and specifically, the kind that any ordinary person, with any ordinary income, can start right now. But first, let me destroy a myth that has kept millions of people on the financial sidelines for decades. Investing is not for rich people. That story has been quietly accepted as truth by people who had no one to correct it. And while they've been waiting to have enough money to invest, inflation has been silently eroding the value of every dollar they saved. Here's a fact that should change your entire perspective. Leaving money in a standard savings account long-term is not safe. It is a slow, invisible loss. Because inflation, historically around 3% per year, eats the purchasing power of your money every single year it sits still. Pause here. Think about that for just a moment. Not investing isn't the safe choice. It's actually the risky one. Now let me show you the math that changes lives. A 25-year-old who invests just $200 a month in a basic index fund, with no fancy strategies, no stock picking, no timing the market, will have over $500,000 by age 65. A 35-year-old doing the exact same thing ends up with roughly $250,000. Same monthly amount. Same strategy. 1 decade of difference. That's the power of compound interest. And Einstein, whether or not he actually said it, was right to call it extraordinary. Here's the principle at work. Your money earns returns. Then your returns earn returns. Then those returns earn returns. And over decades, that compounding effect creates wealth that looks almost magical from the outside. But it's not magic. It's math. Patient, consistent, incredibly powerful math. Now let's talk about the 2 tools you need to know. The 401k. If your employer offers one, this is your first stop. You contribute pre-tax dollars, which means your taxable income drops immediately. And if your employer offers a match, meaning they contribute a percentage based on what you put in, and you are not capturing that full match right now, you are leaving free money in your employer's pocket every single payday. An employer match is an instant 50 to 100% return on your investment, before the market does a single thing. It is the greatest guaranteed return in personal finance. Period. Quick check. Does your employer offer a 401k match? If yes, and you're not taking the full match right now, you have one action to take before this chapter ends. 1. Increase your contribution to capture it completely. The Roth IRA. This is funded with after-tax dollars, meaning you pay tax on the money now. But every dollar of growth, from now until retirement, is completely permanently, tax-free. When you withdraw from a Roth IRA in retirement, you owe zero taxes on potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in gains. If you're early in your career, if you expect your income to grow, the Roth IRA is almost always the smarter long-term vehicle. Now, what do you actually invest in? This is where people freeze up. They imagine stock charts and trading desks and split-second decisions. But here's what the data shows. Most professional fund managers, people who spend their entire careers analyzing markets, consistently underperform simple index funds over the long run. Not some of the time. Consistently. Over decades of documented evidence. An index fund simply tracks a market index, like the S&P 500, which represents the 500 largest U.S. companies. When you buy into an index fund, you own a tiny piece of all 500 companies at once. Instant diversification. Low fees. And historically, despite every recession, every crash, every crisis, the S&P 500 has returned an average of around 10% per year over the long term. You don't need to pick winners. You just need to own the whole game. Let me tell you about David and Elena, a couple in their early 30s. David was contributing 3% to his 401k, just enough to get half his employer match. Missing the other half entirely. Elena had no retirement account at all. Every month, her savings sat in a standard bank account earning essentially nothing. They weren't poor. They were uninformed. 2 changes. David increased his 401k contribution to 6%, capturing his full employer match. Elena opened a Roth IRA and set up automatic monthly contributions of $300 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. That's it. 2 decisions. 2 account changes. The projected difference over 30 years? Over $800,000 in additional retirement wealth. Wealth that, without those 2 changes, simply would never have existed. Same income. 2 decisions, $800,000 difference. Here's the wealth machine framework in 4 steps. Step 1. Contribute enough to your 401k to capture every dollar of your employer match. Immediately. Non-negotiable. Step 2. Open a Roth IRA and contribute monthly into a low-cost index fund. Even $50 a month is a start. Step 3. Once your Roth IRA is maxed for the year, return to your 401k and increase contributions further. Step 4. Stay the course. Do not panic when markets drop. Market downturns are not disasters for long-term investors. They are sales. When the market falls, you are buying the same high-quality assets, at a discount. The investors who understand this, sleep well through volatility. The ones who don't, sell at the bottom and lock in their losses permanently. Think of it this way. If your favorite store ran a 30% off sale on everything you were already planning to buy, would you stop shopping? Or stock up? A market crash is a sale on wealth-building assets. Your job is to keep buying. Your action step. This week, log into your employer's 401k portal. Check your contribution percentage. Check your employer match terms. If you're leaving any match on the table, increase your contribution today. Then research opening a Roth IRA if you don't already have one. These 2 actions could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to your future self. In Chapter 5, we go somewhere most finance content never goes. Because you can know every strategy in this series and still quietly self-sabotage if your mindset isn't aligned with your goals. Chapter 5 is the chapter that makes everything else actually stick. Don't skip it. It might be the most important one of all. If this chapter opened your eyes to what's possible, hit like right now and subscribe so you don't miss Chapter 5. Building wealth without the right mindset is like filling a bucket with a hole in it. We're about to seal that hole for good. Chapter 5. The Wealth Mindset, the invisible force behind every financial win. Here's something that will genuinely surprise you. Behavioral economists at Princeton gave 2 groups of people the exact same financial literacy information. Same strategies. Same data. Same tools. One group transformed their finances within a year. The other group did nothing. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't income. It wasn't even willpower. It was mindset. Specifically, the invisible beliefs each person carried about whether they were capable of, and worthy of, financial success. Welcome to Chapter 5. The final chapter. And honestly, the one that holds everything else together. Because all the budgeting frameworks, all the debt strategies, all the investing tools we've covered, they are only as powerful as the mind using them. You can hand someone a perfect financial plan, and if they quietly believe they don't deserve wealth, or that money is dangerous, or that people like them never get ahead, they will unconsciously find ways to make those beliefs true. Every time. These beliefs have a name. They're called money scripts. And every single one of us has them. Money scripts are the unconscious beliefs about money that drive your financial behavior. They form before you're 10 years old, shaped by what you heard, what you observed, what you felt in the presence of money during childhood. You didn't choose them, but you've been living by them ever since. Financial psychologist Dr. Brad Klontz identified 4 main types. Money avoidance. Money is bad and good people don't really want it. Money worship. More money will finally solve all my problems. Money status. My net worth is my self-worth. And money vigilance. I must always guard against financial disaster, or everything will fall apart. Each of these scripts drives real financial behavior, often destructive behavior. And most people have never once examined which script is running them. Pause here. Be honest with yourself. Which one sounds most like you? Not the version you aspire to. The one that shows up when you're stressed, or scared, or impulsive. The one that whispers things about money when you're not thinking clearly. Let me tell you about Priya. Priya grew up in a home where money was a constant source of tension. Her parents argued about it, often, loudly. As a child, she unconsciously absorbed one belief. Financial engagement equals pain. As an adult, Priya avoided her finances completely. She never checked her account balances. She delayed filing taxes for 3 years. She let credit card statements pile up unopened on her kitchen counter. Not because she was lazy. Not because she didn't care. But because her nervous system had learned, a very long time ago, that looking at money meant bracing for conflict. When Priya finally named her money avoidance script, something shifted. She stopped seeing her avoidance as a character flaw. She started seeing it as a protection mechanism that had outlived its usefulness. And once she could name it, she could choose differently. Within 6 months of consistent intentional engagement with her finances, Priya had paid off a $4,000 credit card, built a $2,500 emergency fund, and for the first time in her adult life, stopped dreading the first of every month. Same income, same expenses, completely different outcome. The only thing that changed was the story she was willing to question. Here are the 5 pillars of a genuine wealth mindset. Pillar 1. Abundance over scarcity. A scarcity mindset says, there is never enough, especially for me. An abundance mindset says, money is renewable, and opportunities to earn, save, and grow are always available to someone who pays attention. Scarcity leads to fear-based decisions, hoarding, and missed opportunities. Abundance leads to strategic generosity, confident investment, and creative income thinking. You can begin shifting this today, simply by noticing when scarcity thoughts arise, naming them, and consciously choosing not to let them make your decisions. Pillar 2. Long-term thinking. The single biggest behavioral difference between wealthy individuals and average ones is the ability to delay gratification. To choose the future self over the present self. This isn't about deprivation. It's about relationship. Build a relationship with who you're becoming. Try this exercise. Write a letter to yourself 10 years from now. Describe your financial life in vivid detail. Where you live, how you work, how it feels to have no debt and a growing portfolio. Then read it every month. Specificity creates motivation. Vagueness creates drift. Pillar 3. Financial identity. You behave according to who you believe you are. If your identity is, I'm just not good with money, your brain will filter out every habit, opportunity, and insight that contradicts that story. Because your brain is wired to keep your behavior consistent with your self-image. The fix is a deliberate reframe. Not, I'm bad with money, but, I'm someone who is actively learning to master money. That small shift, from fixed to growing, changes what you notice, what you try, and what you eventually become. Pillar 4. Community and environment. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I'll show you your likely financial future. This isn't judgment. This is behavioral science. We unconsciously mirror the financial habits of the people around us. If your entire social circle normalizes spending every dollar earned and treats saving as joyless, it becomes socially costly to behave differently. Seek out financially intentional communities, even online ones, where building wealth is normal, admired, and actively supported. Your environment shapes your behavior far more than motivation ever will. Pillar 5. Failure as data. Every financial mistake you have ever made is information, not a verdict on your character, not proof of permanent inadequacy. Information. The wealthy have made financial mistakes too, often much bigger ones than yours. The difference is in the interpretation. Setbacks are feedback. Overspent last month? Data. Missed a savings goal? Data. Made a bad investment? Data. What happened? What can change? What do I do differently next time? Resilience is the single most underrated financial skill in existence, and it is available to everyone who chooses it. Quick check. Right now, do you have a vivid picture of your financial life 10 years from now? Or is it blurry and uncertain? Because vagueness is not humility. Vagueness is a gap that anxiety fills. Get specific. Write it down. Make it real. Let me leave you with one final story. James was 48, a warehouse worker. He came to a financial workshop with $800 in savings, $14,000 in debt, and deep shame about starting so late in life. He genuinely believed his window had closed. That wealth was for people who started younger, earned more, or got lucky. James built a freedom budget. He started the debt snowball. He opened a Roth IRA and contributed $100 a month. He changed one sentence in his head. From, "It's too late for me," to, "Every dollar I invest from now is a gift to my 65-year-old self." 7 years later, James is debt-free. He has $68,000 in retirement savings. And he started a part-time consulting practice from his own expertise that brings in an extra $800 a month. He is not a millionaire yet, but he is free. And freedom, he told me, feels better than he ever allowed himself to imagine it could. It is never too late, and it is never too early. Here's what we built together across these 5 chapters. Chapter 1 gave us the truth. Money is a tool and awareness is the starting point. Chapter 2 gave us the system. A freedom budget built on joy anchors and intentional direction. Chapter 3 gave us the escape plan. Proven debt elimination strategies and 4 power moves to accelerate them. Chapter 4 gave us the engine. Compound interest, 401k matches, Roth IRAs, and the simplest investing strategy that beats most professionals. And Chapter 5 gave us the foundation. The mindset that makes every single strategy sustainable long enough to actually work. You have everything you need. Not perfect information. No one has that. But a complete framework, a real philosophy, and tools that have transformed thousands of lives, from people with far less than you have right now. The only thing left is to begin. Here's your final action step. Choose one thing from this series. Just one. Your freedom budget. Your debt list. Your first investment account. Your money script reframe. Pick one. And do it this week. Not someday. This week. And if this series genuinely changed how you think about money, I have one ask. Binge it again from Chapter 1. Share it with someone who needs it. And sign up for the free weekly newsletter at the link below. Every week, one real actionable money insight. No fluff. No pressure. Just the financial education that should have been taught in school, delivered straight to your inbox. Thank you for being here. Thank you for paying attention. Now go build something extraordinary.